When people talk about the greatest football managers of all time, certain names always come up. Sir Alex Ferguson, Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, Johan Cruyff. But rarely do you hear the name Vicente del Bosque. And that, right there, is one of the greatest injustices in football history. Because Del Bosque didn't just only win, he dominated. He didn't just manage teams full of stars, he controlled egos, united dressing rooms, and created football dynasties. And yet, despite winning everything there is to win in football, he is almost never spoken about with the same respect as his peers. We're going to dive deep into the story of Vicente del Bosque, how he quietly built one of the most dominant teams in history, the unique way he managed players, the tactical genius that gets overlooked, and why he might just be the most underrated manager the game has ever seen. Welcome back to The Art of Midfield. Please subscribe to this channel for more football stories. Vicente del Bosque was born in Salamanca, Spain in 1950. As a player, he wasn't a superstar, but he was solid, a defensive midfielder for Real Madrid who understood the game deeply. In many ways, his playing career foreshadowed his managerial one, understated, effective, and always putting the team first. When he retired, Del Bosque quietly worked his way through the Real Madrid coaching system. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't political, and he certainly wasn't a headline grabber. While other managers built reputations through bold declarations or fiery personalities, Del Bosque worked in silence, learning, studying, and preparing. By the late 1990s, Real Madrid was in turmoil. Big stars, big egos, constant managerial sackings. That's when Del Bosque got his chance. And what he did next was nothing short of extraordinary. When Del Bosque took charge of Real Madrid in 1999, the club was at a crossroads. They had incredible talent: Raúl, Roberto Carlos, Iker Casillas, Fernando Hierro. Soon after, the Galácticos project began, with Zinedine Zidane, Luis Figo, Ronaldo and David Beckham arriving. Most managers would have crumbled under the pressure of managing that many world-class players, but not Del Bosque. In just 4 years, he delivered 2 Champions League titles, 2 La Liga titles, a Spanish Super Cup, a UEFA Super Cup, and an Intercontinental Cup. He turned Real Madrid into the most feared side in Europe. What made it even more impressive was how he did it. Unlike Mourinho, who ruled with fear, or Guardiola, who controlled every tactical detail, Del Bosque managed through calmness and respect. He let the stars be themselves, but he created an environment where egos didn't clash, where everyone worked for the team. Zidane once said, "Del Bosque is the best coach I ever had. He treated us like adults. He knew how to make a team with all those stars. That was Del Bosque's magic. He didn't need to be the loudest voice in the room. He just needed to be the wisest." Despite all that success, Real Madrid sacked him in 2003, just 1 day after winning La Liga. Why? Because Florentino Perez wanted a modern, glamorous manager. Del Bosque didn't fit the image. He wasn't marketable enough. He wasn't flashy. That decision would haunt Real Madrid for years. Without him, the Galácticos project fell apart. Big names came in, but trophies dried up. The stability, the unity, the balance, all gone. Del Bosque, however, was not finished. His greatest work was still to come. In 2008, Spain had just won Euro 2008 under Luis Aragonés. It was their first major trophy in 44 years. But Aragonés stepped down, and the Spanish Federation needed someone who could continue the revolution. They turned to Vicente del Bosque. Now, imagine the pressure. Spain had just reached the top. They had to prove it wasn't a one-off. And Del Bosque's task was to not only maintain that success, but elevate it to new heights. And that's exactly what he did. At the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, Del Bosque led Spain to their first ever World Cup trophy. Then, in 2012, he guided them to another European championship, making Spain the first team in history to win 3 consecutive major international tournaments: Euro 2008, World Cup 2010, Euro 2012. That Spain side is now remembered as one of the greatest international teams ever. Tiki-taka football, Xavi and Iniesta's dominance, Casillas' leadership, David Villa's goals. But behind it all was Del Bosque calm and brilliant. One of the biggest misconceptions about Del Bosque is that he just inherited great players and let them play. That couldn't be further from the truth. Del Bosque was a tactical master. At Real Madrid, he was one of the first managers to use a 4-2-3-1 system effectively, with Makalele shielding the defense, Zidane pulling strings, and Raúl supporting the striker. This shape gave freedom to the Galácticos while keeping the team balanced. With Spain, he took Aragonese tiki-taka and evolved it. At Euro 2012, he made the bold choice to play without a striker in some games, using Cesc Fabregas as a false 9. Many criticized him for it, calling it negative. But it worked to perfection. Spain destroyed Italy 4-0 in the final, playing some of the most beautiful football ever seen. Del Bosque's Spain wasn't just about passing. It was about suffocating opponents, controlling every inch of the pitch and striking with precision. It was tactical domination. And yet, because he wasn't outspoken like Guardiola or as theatrical as Mourinho, his tactical innovations often get overlooked. Del Bosque's greatest strength wasn't tactics or systems. It was people. In an era full of superstar managers with big personalities, Del Bosque was the opposite. He was quiet, humble, approachable. Players loved him because he trusted them. He didn't micromanage. He didn't fight for the spotlight. He simply created an environment where players could thrive. Casillas once said, "He knew how to manage a dressing room better than anyone. He made you feel important, whether you were a starter or a substitute. Managing egos like Ronaldo, Figo, Zidane, and Sergio Ramos is no small task. Many managers have failed trying to do it. Del Bosque made it look easy. He never shouted for attention. He never disrespected anyone. And in return, his players gave him everything. That's why he's one of the few managers in history who never had a major falling out with his squad." Let's put Del Bosque's career into perspective. 2 Champions League titles, 2 La Liga titles, 1 World Cup, 1 European Championship, countless Super Cups and smaller trophies. He is the only manager in football history to win both the Champions League and the World Cup. Del Bosque wasn't a showman. He didn't have catchphrases. He didn't throw tantrums on the touchline. He didn't demand the camera's attention. He was simply a football man, quiet, legendary. Without Del Bosque, Real Madrid's Galácticos would never have worked. Spain might never have become the greatest international side of all time. His fingerprints are all over football history. So why is Del Bosque underrated? 1. His personality. 2. The players he managed. 3. His style. Vicente del Bosque never needed the spotlight. He never needed to shout about his greatness. He let his teams do the talking. He was the calm in the storm at Real Madrid. He was the architect of Spain's golden era. He was the master of humility in a sport full of egos. And maybe that's the ultimate lesson of his career. That greatness doesn't always need to be loud. Sometimes, the most powerful leaders are the quietest ones. Vicente del Bosque may not always get the credit he deserves, but history will never forget him, because when it comes to building dynasties, winning trophies and managing legends, few have ever done it better. And that's why Vicente del Bosque is football's most underrated genius. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel for more football stories.